Milo one is on here, right?
Milo, the donation of Milo.
Yes,
The Milo grant.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
and we would use that next year, right?
Okay, moving on, non-certificated personnel office, items 1 through 4. Anybody? Okay, you guys make this through. Item number 21, non-certificated personnel operational. Items 1 through 4.
On number one, it used to be always one within preventative.
You never have to move the items until the first three.
Okay, do you want me to take it home? I'll bring it to Carol and she'll bring it in.
Request specific days. I review those days, these are Passover, Francis, and they valid. Change one day, a specific number of days. So we review it.
11, 12.
Read is good? Non-certificated personnel office, 1 through 4.
I'm sorry, she listed other.
I'm sorry.
Ron.
Non-certificated personnel other, items 1 through 12. Anybody? Guys, meet me, almost complete. Item 23, certificated personnel, items 1 through 18.
Okay, hang on, sorry.
I keep asking,
Yeah,
nobody's
which one
saying
do you want?
anything.
You're on these, yeah, we did that one, now we're on this one.
You just did that one.
Ah.
You completed non-certificate personnel other. Okay, hold on.
So, on certificated personnel?
Other.
No,
Other.
non-certificated personnel other, they're not done.
No.
I apologize.
Thank you.
Didn't say anything, come on.
Number 10, did we ever get the information on what monies that we have secured through grant writing to substantiate our portion of our salary?
She just sent us something not too long ago. I know it was with Milo, but.
It seems like every time this comes up for discussion, we're going to get some sort of accounting of what grant she's worked for us.
Right. Did you ask for it again this year? Prior to just, you asking just now?
I think you did, but I don't.
You just did it in advance of us putting it on, because we do this as a matter of record every year, because we have to recognize the employment.
Yes, that's one.
I think we did ask last one.
We'll make sure we get it. But we do give it to you every year.
No, that's fine. I just want to substantiate. I know that she does a good service to the Board of Ed and also the township. I just wanted to make sure that we account for it.
Now, number 11, Joe, is that Sabrina Anderson, is she someone new or replacing someone?
It's a great hire.
This is you're acknowledging all of the, you see that in some of the prior motions, they're acknowledging employment for next year. So all of the secretaries were initially on. You'll see later on all of the certificated staff.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just.
Certificated personnel. What's up?
I'm gonna walk you through this.
Please.
So for number one, you can see we have multiple retirements and we will have 2 additional retirements to add to this. Okay. Number 3, we have the approval of the sabbatical. And then number 4, we will have We will have names in each of these A through E. The RFPs will go home for you on Friday. F, we have potentially have a candidate there. And then we have a candidate for the behaviorist position. And potentially to fill 3 of the elementary teachers. We have multiple openings at the elementary level. We have a pool of candidates that we're working on second interviews. So we may have those, we'd like to have them on this agenda to secure them and make sure everything is finalized.
Are all those open to resign?
Some of them are due to transfers, some of them are due to retirements. Because we've had multiple openings in other areas, we have increased the number of interventionists. We have elementary teachers and middle school and high school teachers that have moved from those positions to the interventionist positions. Those transfers will go on the agenda next month. The next section, number 5, is leaves of absences. Very likely that those will be updated prior to Tuesday. They're constantly changing. Same thing, long-term subs. Once we update the leaves, we continue to change those. We have 7 and 8. We may have a couple of names that we're putting on in 7 and 8 that are as a result of some of the positions that are being filled here. So let's just move down to the elementary principal position. You received in your email that went home prior to the break. We actually have a candidate that we're recommending, and they're here tonight. Mrs. Tricia Barrett.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
So we will have the RFE and sent home. You've already received the resume and the information on the salary. That'll be flushed in here. I don't know if anybody has any questions for Ms. Barrett.
Can you tell us a little background about Ms. Barrett?
So Ms. Barrett is a current employee in Old Bridge. She's worked in multiple schools. She is a technology teacher at the elementary level. Prior to that, she was a 4th grade teacher, and she also worked on, and tell me if I say this correctly, crisis management on Wall Street.
Yes.
And do you want to explain a little bit about what you were in charge of there?
I'm looking at Sal, sorry.
Right.
Well, okay.
No, it's fine. I worked on Wall Street. I worked for Salomon Brothers. I was in charge of 7 World Trade Centers, 42nd floor, fixed income trading floor. So in the event that 7 World Trade Center disappeared, it was my job to ensure that the technology for the fixed income trading floors can start up at Rutherford. So my job was to coordinate with vendors, staff, technology people, to ensure that they can open up the business the next day.
Ms. Barrett is also an ESP, an elementary substitute principal in the district, and has worked in probably most of our elementary schools in that capacity. She's served on multiple character education teams and worked on the applications in Madison Park and at Shira. She's currently at Shira, and we're recommending that she become the principal replacing Colleen Montori.
One of the important things for me in this process was, as you're aware, Ms. Montroy's taken several leaves over the past few years dealing with personal issues. And we've had to bring someone from the outside by statute. But in that absence, Ms. Barrett was essential in ensuring we had park, both 2 of the absences were during park, and one was at the beginning of the school year. And it was essential to have Ms. Barrett there to make sure the school opened seamlessly and went on. As you can see, the results from Shira School and the park did not skip a beat. Even in the absence, because Shira School scored in the top 20 in the state on the park this past year. Thank you. She was highly recommended.
Yes.
I'd just like to say I had the privilege of sitting in on both final interviews with both ladies, and I
So, we have Miss Melanie Minch-Class who has retired, and while not easy shoes to fill, we did go through a lengthy process, again, pre-screening resumes, phone interviews, in-person interviews with the committee, second round interviews, it was quite a process. We have a candidate, and she is here tonight, this is Chrissy Robinson. I don't know if you, Schutz Robinson?
I'm actually going by Schutz now.
Okay, so, Chrissy Schutz, there we go. And just going over, she comes highly recommended, she was the director and I just wanna look again because I say Little Silver and I keep saying Shrewsbury and it's Little Silver.
Close.
They're very close, right next to each other. And I will tell you that when I spoke to her superintendent, she said very bittersweet, she's very happy for her to move on, but it will be a great loss to their school district. Having worked in a small school district, she wears many hats, in charge of multiple areas, and, comes very highly recommended. I don't know, Dr. Tui, if there's anything that you wanted to add?
No, again, Dr. Schultz is a great addition to the team. We look forward to working with her as we move forward through next year.
And my addition for full disclosure, these interviews were not the first time I came across Dr. Schultz. She was actually a presenter in Atlantic City during Expo on using vendor applications for tracking student data. And it was a very impressive presentation.
Any questions? So again, you will receive the recommendation forms. You already received in your email the information regarding the salary, and the resume. Thank you, and
Thank you for coming in with us. Dr. Hofer, anything else?
Yes, just making sure. So the remaining, we have from 13 through 18 are acknowledging employment. There are attachments with the staff members' information. And number 19, we are just continuing to add to our certified short-term sub-list. And number 20, we are continuing to hire new substitute teachers as some of our substitutes, as we increase our substitute pool, our substitutes end up being hired or, become not available, so we continue to complete the interviews. And 21, we have, this is Dr. Tui, we have some workshops and extended school year positions. These are annual workshops. Number 26 is extended school year. And the remainder up to 28 are extended.
Thank you. Any questions or comments on any of that? Anybody?
I have a question on, I want to go back to non-certificated personnel other. I just had a question on 3 and 4. And this is where someone's being moved, a parent's being moved from one school to the other. And when they move to the other school, they're getting both the 10% and the $18 lunch. My question is this something new for them, or did they have this in the school that they were in before? How is that determined?
No, they had that in the previous school, and because they're being transferred mid-year, we can't lower their salary. They are assigned in the building to do lunch duty and bus duty. Most likely, with the transfer to that building, that's would, at this time of year, necessitated both. So they are utilized in the capacity they were in the previous school.
Okay, but they're an additional lunch aid, lunchroom person, is that it? You're saying that
Well,
you're
this-
carrying it over?
Yeah, this particular student needs assistance during lunch.
Oh, it's a
so-
student, individual student?
Correct, yeah,
Ah,
so.
gotcha.
The student transferred in and then.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so we're back to, sorry, certificated personnel. Anybody else? Anything?
Excuse me. I'm sorry, I'm extremely sorry for interjecting, but I don't know if you guys remember, I was here last.
We remember, you have the opportunity at the end of the meeting.
I actually had to go to a meeting, but that's okay, you guys can continue, maybe I can,
We're moving pretty quick.
We'll be right there. At the end of this meeting, there'll be a public portion, and that'll come up during new business where the committee chair from that policy meeting, we're not here, but Mr. DePrima can discuss it and introduce the ideas that were shared at that policy meeting to the entire board for discussion, carry back to the next policy meeting.
could I just maybe get a result of it afterwards? I mean, maybe I can approach someone after this.
You can watch the video.
Watch the video, is this being recorded?
This is being recorded and it'll be on video
It'll be
online
the website
on our
in a
website.
couple of days.
Okay, great, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Non-certificated personnel transportation, annual 24. Items 1 through 9. Anything? Supplies, equipment, and services. Items 1 through 29. No, 30. Rich, I don't know if you noticed with the 30. Apparently, from my understanding, there was miscommunication between the Board of Ed and the town council.
Not the Board of Ed, between the township administration and the township administrators. The township, the staff, and the Board of Ed were all on the same page, but on their side, they did not communicate the transaction to the township council and the township administrators.
There wasn't obvious, two-sided there. Nothing on,
Give her a- Thank you. It's a last one.
I know, take his walk with him.
The bulk of what's on here are the renewal of the professional services.
Yeah. Yeah. Just wanted to cover it.
good? Okay, moving on, transportation. Items 1 through 8.
Just item 1, it says coming from Edison 2 cheese crate.
Almost all day.
Anything on transportation? Charlotte?
No, I'm just going to the next one, that's
Okay, miscellaneous, 25, 27, 125.
just checking.
There was a personnel.
This is February?
But it says February, but that actually should be for March, right? Right?
Yes.
Okay, March. Yeah.
I have March 3rd. So here,
I think there was a personnel meeting that they had.
So March 3rd.
I had one February. I had one March 3rd.
Yes, so you have to do it.
Yeah, because otherwise we
It was definitely pre-roll.
Yeah, I think actually.
She was even at the one after. Yeah.
Okay, so we're good on miscellaneous? Board secretary and board business, Mr. Mayor, anything?
So, number one is,
What does that mean?
two is designating the newspapers of record. For district number three is the reappointment of Monster Shores to treasurer of school. Treasurer of school monies. Readoption of all the policies for the district. Adoption of the minimum proper accounts for the accounting system. Appointment of me as the custodian of record. And also the fees that we charge for copies of the OPA requests. The board is also adopting the code of ethics. Appointing me again as the board secretary, and adopting the Robert Rules of Order as we conduct board meetings. And number 12 is the proposed schedule of meetings for June of 2018. And we usually review this again in January, that's the second half of the year. And number 13, Donna and Anna is being elected as the Lead Services representative.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, moving on, hearing of residents on any school district issue. The gentleman that had to leave, I know what he was here for, I'll wait until anybody else is.
I think this is a simple one. On page 24, item 29. And it goes on page 25. It appears to be saying that from now on, all of our technology is going to be all Apple products and Apple connected. I thought that we were transitioning towards Chromebooks, so if somebody could just explain a little bit what exactly this means, once all the whereases are taken into account.
No, what it is this, it's very difficult in the world that we live in today to purchase Apple products. And if we do purchase Apple products, we need to be part of this organization and follow this mechanism to purchase Apple products.
Okay, so it's that will be how we will get them when we want
It's the
them,
only
not
way-
that.
it's the only
Okay,
way we can get them.
all right.
So that's not tying us to Apple only going forward.
Just a lot of whereases. By the third one, I'm done.
Anybody else, any residents on any school district issue? so I think this would be your point if you wanted to bring something up.
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. My name is Akshay Patel. I'm a resident of Fallbridge and live in Yardley Manor. I would like to bring it to the board's attention that the high school band practices outdoor in the parking lot area starting right after school and last as long as 9 p.m. in regular weekdays. And it has happened almost every day of the weekday, as well as they also practice over the weekend on Saturday, starting at 9 a.m., sometime 9:30 a.m., and can last up to 7 p.m. It is really becoming a nuisance because if you have somebody coming over as a guest or somebody at your house, it is annoying noise. I wish there was other option board should consider having them practice in the gym, possibly having them practice at the track field at the Route 9 in middle school. So there is very little, residence area surrounding that area. So there are other options, solutions out there. Can board look into this and please have some sort of resolution on this?
I believe we have at least a partial answer. The band will be moving, correct me if I'm wrong.
So in most cases, you're absolutely right. In the springtime, the marching band, because it's a marching band, and they need to march. It's tough.
Actually, this is not a marching band. It's an instrumental playing.
But all the components of it get together to form a marching band, and they work separately and together.
Okay.
So when in the springtime, they practice here, because they also use those same instruments during the course of the day for instruction. We do not have the facilities nor the mechanisms to, at the end of every day, pack up the
Understood.
things
and
transport them over to there. But in the summertime, we do that. In the summertime, the band is not here. During the summertime, the band is on Lombardi Field, and all that equipment is stored at Carl Sandburg School, and they use the football field there.
Okay,
I want to tell you now that that's not going to happen this summer, because Carl Sandburg School is being shut down for the summer, and they'll have no electricity there, and we can't store the equipment in there and have students go and staff go in and out of the building that's already shut down without electricity. It's a violation of code and building use, and you can't have people go into a building that doesn't have power and fire alarms. So they will be here all summer. I have heard the complaints from members of the community and neighborhood, 2 other people. I'm sure there's a representative of more.
There are so many people in Yardley Manor as I'm concerned.
I'm just saying I've heard two people. And we have talked to them about moving to different sides of the building, rotating it to the other side of.
And they're always practicing toward the back end of the school which faces the Yardley Manor development. And I mean, there's got to be some sort of a limitation should be put on, because if you are sitting home or working on doing something starting around 3 o'clock and last till 9 o'clock, I mean, when do you get peace and quiet? There's a limit on everything, right? What about
there is.
weekends?
There's an ordinance. There's a noise ordinance, and it's till 10 p.m.
I understand that, but this is not that's your residence ordinance that you're referring to, not an outdoor open application.
The ordinance that I'm speaking to is the same one I work with the township council on.
It's actually, if you read it very carefully, it's actually for the apartments and multi-dwelling facilities.
That's the one that has been referred to me by the
It does
township.
not apply to that, that ordinance does not really apply to the application what school is utilizing.
The problem with what you're saying, and you're partially correct that ordinance doesn't strictly apply,
Right.
which shows you that there is no violation going on at the school. There is
Well,
discussion.
because nobody hasn't brought it up, that doesn't mean violation has not occurred.
Well, it does if the ordinance does not speak to that. So what the administration is looking at is trying to rotate around the building, and Mr. Cittadino said they are aware of the concern. But
So far, if that was the case, why nothing has been done since March? They've been practicing outside in the back end of the school.
That's April 16th, April 18th today.
I know.
We only meet periodically. I did address your email to Mr. Cittadino, and I was under the impression, not realizing about the Sandburg work, that we wouldn't be moving, but it's really not that long.
But these are like 6 hours a day and entire Saturday. I mean,
So a lot of this, I'm not here all day on Saturday, but I can say that I know they travel to competition on Saturday, so they can't be here all day every
Last
Saturday.
Last Saturday, they started at 9:30 a.m. And it's not one band. There are drummers who practice it. So it's an ongoing process. It's not one particular group.
They usually.
But the residents of the Yardley Manors get it from all different, so they don't get any break whatsoever.
I do understand your concern. We do move them to Lombardi Field.
But what about
Seasonally,
limiting practices?
The winter, we have them indoors, but it's not an indoor band when we get them ready for the spring and summer season.
But what about limiting the practices to maybe 2 hours a day? Because you got to have some sort of solution. You can't have 6-hour practices every day.
From what I understand, the practices aren't 6 hours. I'll have to get more
Well,
information.
last week, I can assure you, 4 out of 5 days lasted till the last, they rehearsed at 8:45 and last for 8 minutes. I can tell you exact timing if you want. As a matter of fact, the band was practicing at 8 o'clock just before that gentleman, left here. I could hear it from here even.
Okay. Again, we'll look more into it. We'll make more suggestions.
But suggestion is one thing, but will there be any resolution?
I'm trying to do as best I can. The hard part is, this is the same thing. I had a man over by Lombardi Field, very upset that our football games are very loud. And I asked him, how long have you lived here? And he said, I moved here 3 years ago. And he lives right at the corner of Lombardi Field. And I said, you didn't see the football field when you bought the house. A football field is going to have football games. And football games can be loud. And his argument was, well, no one used to come to the games. So now that they're winning, more people come to the games.
I'm not opposed to the band. Believe me, I'm not opposed to the band at all.
But
It has to be, that means if the transportation has to be provided, so be it. To the, practice at the tracks. There's gotta be.
So that's the normal routine, but because of the construction.
Yeah, but then there has to be another alternate ways of methods of,
these
maybe
are
one secure room has to be
noises and
opened up
events
for
that
them.
happen at every high school across the country.
Yeah, I understand that. I don't think they practice 6 hours a day.
No, they do.
Well, then there's gotta be something, then at Carl Sandburg, you probably would have to make a provision to have a one-room lockable capability that can be accessed. Even including if it requires temporary generator, yes, so be it.
But that would only help for this summer. I mean, it's still going to be here in the spring.
I know, but
Okay.
I have to leave here during summer. I'm not leaving and moving out just to accommodate Ben.
All right. I understand your point. I'm sure you understand mine.
I fully understand that, and I've been
The high
coping.
school
I've been
was here
coping
before
with
Yardley
it
Manor
since.
was here.
I've been
And
coping with
everyone
this.
built. It's just, there's a housing development going right here for seniors, right in front of the high school. And I went there and I said, I'm not opposing the housing development. I hope that everybody comes and has a great time. And we're all good neighbors between restricted living that's going to be, but I'm letting you know ahead of time. We have a marching band and they make noise. We have a high school that has bells. And we have a World Fest that's going to have rides right up against your windows. And they said, we understand. And everybody understands when they come and buy the house because it's good real estate to buy a house next to a school because you're right there. But then schools come with noises. And, everybody said they're going to understand, but when they come here, I hope they understand that we do make noises, and I know that, in senior developments, people like to sleep with the window open, they don't like to have air conditioning on. So.
No, understood, but at least I think I'm not saying you completely shut it down. I'm saying maybe limit the hours, maybe 2 hours a day after school. Not having, have them practice beyond 5 o'clock, where people come home. Same thing on the weekend. People, there's a limit because they are the one who is paying taxes that supports the school system. So you got to give some sort of consideration.
I will take your concern, and I will bring it to the next meeting, and I'll talk to the band director.
I actually requested band director and the principal to be here. Have they came?
If I can just interject a little from the other side.
Let me give a little background too.
Yeah.
I can, so, both of my children were in marching band. Not in this year. I'm fully aware of the program you're talking about now is the indoor percussion. So please understand that these students, the band and the music is extremely important to them.
Right.
It is the same as an athlete, how important a football player, a lacrosse player, whatever it is that makes that student thrive here in our district. That's what this music is to them. So to say that they should be stifled because of the noise they make for their art is very hard. And this is what makes these children flourish. Many of them go on to careers in music teaching. And we know it's loud. I know it's loud. I was over there this afternoon listening to the performance. It's a loud performance. But we are also a school that is highly recognized for it. We had our marching band go to Normandy for the 75th celebration of the Normandy D-Day. In 2018, that band is going to the 75th anniversary of Pearl Harbor. It is a recognition, I think, that looks at our community. It's something that sets us apart from other schools. And I totally understand the noise. I live over by Lombardi Field. I hear them, and I'm probably a quarter mile away.
And I'm only 200
And I totally
yards
understand
away.
it. I totally understand it makes a lot of noise. And I think, as Mr. Cedadino said, we're going to try to move it. But I think to stifle and impede on these children,
I am not stifling them.
you just said you want them to limit it to 2
Restrict,
hours.
yes.
But
But
There is gotta be some
to
solution.
learn that craft,
But wait a
You
minute,
need-
the people who are making a day's living and residing in the Yardley Manor, who are pumping the tax money for the same kids, what about, aren't
and
you
we're,
stifling
as we
them?
said, we're trying to see if we can move them to other sides. So it's not in any disrespect, but you
I
can't
mean-
play the drum quietly.
Well, I understand fully, but there's gotta be, you gotta also give a consideration for 212 homes who are in the Yardley Manor.
If I may, though, Mr. Citadino did say he's gonna look into.
And again, and I do want to find answers, because maybe there's questions to things you're saying that maybe 2 hours, you're saying that, but maybe it's not possible because you have one band director and assistants and 150 kids in the band. Maybe they're not all the kids playing the drum at the same time, so you're giving 2 hours to one group of kids, because you have to give personalized attention to them, and the next group of kids coming in, they're getting to your 2 hours, and it adds up to your 6 hours, but it's only one group of kids got 2 hours. It's just,
I understand that.
so.
But then
I
there
know
are
it's
like
difficult.
3-4 kids playing drums, they can play in the gym. They don't need to,
We
they
are
don't
certainly
need to march.
compassionate to the community around the school, and if anything can be done,
Okay. I just wanted to express my
we
opinion.
appreciate that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else, during the president, and any school issue? I guess I'll just address what that other gentleman was here for. It's a little hard. Mr. Singh heads up the chairperson of the policy committee. That gentleman and some other community members were present at the last policy meeting, looking for some change in direction on school entry age, the cutoff date.
I think the most intense is first grade.
Okay, again, without the chairperson here, I really don't want to say too much because it's not been presented to the remaining board. I guess it's something we'll discuss at the next policy meeting.
Yeah, the question of moving the line in the timeline for when you can go into first grade if you have completed kindergarten elsewhere, be it in a public or private school district inside or outside of the state of New Jersey, is a district decision that's faced in every district throughout the state. And now it's being brought to your attention. You tweaked that policy about 13 months ago now. There have been people asking to tweak it again. Not unlike busing, somebody's always going to be 2.01 miles away from school. Somebody's always going to have a child who was born the day after the cutoff or the day before the cutoff. Something we're looking into. It will be addressed again. I've done some research and shared with Mr. Singh, Mr. Citadino, Mr. Mara, some policies creating greater or lesser flexibility from different districts. And we're going to have another policy meeting in probably pragmatically at this point in May to revisit the issue. And then something will be brought to the full board after that.
Because it is a public meeting, other board members can attend the committee.
Oh, sure.
So I would like to suggest that some of the suggestions that are out there in the packet, that we're not even suggestions, just options that other boards have as policy, are everything from, no, the cutoff date's the cutoff date, to allowing students from private, state and private approved, state-approved kindergarten program, if they came from the state or private, state-approved kindergarten program, to anywhere from a 2-week assessment time, to other things. And I know I work with I mentioned to Dr. Scoscombe, we're investigating what assessments are out there for those students if they do that. So if any board member is particularly interested or has an experience in wanting to be part of this conversation, I encourage you to attend the next policy meeting to discuss that further.
I will remind Mr. Singh to try and get one scheduled. Mr. Reed, Mr. Dinoff, myself, and Mr. Singh were the last one. We did tell the gentleman that we would explore options if there's any exceptions to be made. We do our meetings. We have not had Mr. Singh has not had a chance to share with the whole board yet due to his absence tonight. But I guess we'll have to.
Mr. Dupree, just to clarify, because it's being recorded and there are interested people watching, it's not so much creation of exceptions to the policy as possibly revisiting the rules in the policy. It's important in a district with over 9,000 students that your policies are uniformly followed. Again, with busing being the best analogy, you don't want to, that first exception really.
I just said exception.
Chris,
understood.
Didn't we, a few months ago, maybe 6 months ago, change the policy and update it where we gave discretion to the chief school administrator to make a decision based upon the criteria set forth?
Everything you're saying is correct, except it was over a year ago.
Okay, so it's a year ago.
So yes, there has been an adjustment to the policy recently, and the committee is just going to revisit to see, and the consensus may be, or the board may decide that no further revision is necessary.
It only gave me discretion for other public schools. It didn't say public and or private.
Gotcha, so that's the caveat of that.
Right, there's the type of program that a child has already experienced, and there's the date. Those are the two principal moving parts.
There was the date, and I had the exception, I could not the exception, I could be up to my discretion if they came from another public school. Both of the parents who attended our policy meeting were coming from private kindergartens, looking to come in. One was a local kindergarten, one was an out-of-district kindergarten.
I used the word exception because that's the word that was used by them. Correct.
So at the time when we made the policy change, it was giving Dave the discretion to make that decision, but only for public school.
Only for a student
Since
who's
they have
completed
a
kindergarten
uniform-
in a public district elsewhere. And the reason for that is that kindergartens in the private setting can vary dramatically. If the true child-centered curriculum, sometimes known as play school, can be of very little curricular intensity.
Correct.
And then there are other schools that are first grade, second grade level in some cases. So the answer, it depends, is a difficult thing to put in policy. So that's why there
And
has
that's
to
why
be
we felt that
discretion.
would leave.
That's why Dr. Cascone is looking for an assessment tool to see how you can have discretion, but that would not be arbitrarily enforced. And we don't want to have, as some of the parents alluded, we can't just have a list of approved schools, because that would be ever-changing. And then what if somebody came from an elite program in Ohio? Probably not going to be on your list. So it's a challenge to establish flexibility without being arbitrary about it.
If my daughter was born on November 11th, and got off this October 31st, she's 40 now. We made a conscious decision to keep her out because we didn't feel that she was emotionally ready for the lecture she was. And she wanted that therefore being one of the older kids that graduated class, which is a big positive. Now, I think in the last 25 to 30 years, with so many parents both working, a lot of this was driven by economics. My impression is that people wanted to leave to school. And we also had a policy now which was very loose and the quote-unquote testing. So, I think you really need to have a tight policy.
You need to have rules.
And get as much individual judgment out of it as possible, because no matter what Dave says, we know better than he does. My child should have gotten it.
Well, and that's why I use courtesy busing as the analogy, because once you don't have it in a black and white situation, every parent has a legitimate, good argument why their child should be treated specially, because we all agree all of our children should be treated better than everyone else's children. That's being a parent. So,
We actually met a very lovely young lady And after kindergarten, well, it was in kindergarten now, but she wrote me a white paper on why she should be in first grade next year. Very good. And she hand-delivered it. And she was adorable.
She's in kindergarten and she wrote you a paper.
Well,
And she delivered it. She marched around the table and delivered it.
Can I ask, because I'm not familiar with the policy and I wasn't here when we did that, although it seemed to remember for some reason. What is the policy for first grade? Is it the same as the cutoff for kindergarten?
Yeah, it's a year late. Unless you have completed a public kindergarten in New Jersey. So if you're not age qualified, but you have completed kindergarten elsewhere in a public program, then you can go into first grade, subject to review and assessment.
The state of New Jersey still doesn't have a uniform cutoff date, it's up to the district.
they give a minimum.
They give a minimum, yes.
October 1st.
And they range from October 1st to December 1st.
Yeah, when I was a kid, it was January 1st.
It has to be, it couldn't be no earlier than October 1st. And keep
So
in
it's
mind,
possible to
A lot has
go
changed
to a
since the
different
80s.
district in New Jersey and finish kindergarten and still not be old enough for first grade here.
correct, and also, keep in mind that in New Jersey, in its infinite wisdom, kindergarten's an optional program. So, that's still the case. Yep, and some districts are starting to focus a little bit on that issue in light of the funding crisis they're facing. It's a whole nother issue, which is not an issue here in Old Bridge. Yeah.
I will reach out to Mrs. Singh to try and schedule a meeting as soon as we can, I guess. Mrs. Singh said everything's welcome, just so we have the options.
And for the board members, I have some papers here for you. If you want to take a deeper look at it, prior to that meeting.
Anything else? Oh, you talk about it Monday?
Yes, I just wanted to tell the rest of the board, because they weren't on the curriculum meeting has been postponed. We're going to roll it into the May meeting, which is
Late May, on the 22nd, I want to say.
okay. It's going to be late May. The reason for that is that the mayor has scheduled.
22nd.
The mayor has scheduled a town hall meeting, again, to try to address the issue of drug addiction in the town, and we thought that it was important that people had the opportunity, particularly Scott and myself, because we sit on the municipal alliance, but this is a partnership between the municipal alliance, the police department, the county, and school system. Through emails, a suggestion came from Kelly that maybe it be videotaped. I'm going to reach out to the mayor and see if that's a possibility. If it's videotaped, can it be put on our TV station?
Yes.
You didn't answer, okay.
Good.
All right, you haven't answered, right? That's good. What about a link on the website? Okay. The other thing I was actually going to talk to him about is because our resident marketing person there actually came up with a flyer that probably got more attention than the one that used to be a long time.
Totally agree. When I saw that flyer, I thought the same thing.
Yeah, but I can't distribute this flyer until I get his permission because it's not our meeting. So in the meantime, I was just gonna give this to the board. And I know the feeling is that by our appearance there, I mean, kind of preaching to the choir, but I just think it shows support. And if anybody has any other suggestions than the ones that I've been doing for the last couple of years, other than that standing on the head thing, because that's
I was actually.
seriously a joke. I said if I knew how, and I don't. I'm not willing to go door to door. Go door to door? Okay.
For the community members that are here, and if this is on the website before the meeting, try and come out to this meeting. It's a really, really strong presentation, but as Jill said, if there's 30 people there, maybe 24 of them are either board members or council members or police officers. We need to get out to the public also. It really hits home.
Just so that everybody knows, it's something that the mayor does a couple of times a year, and it's actually, the phrase has been coined, facing an unpleasant reality together. And it is to address the drug addiction problem that we have in town. And year to year it changes, but right now they're really focusing on opiates, painkillers, that then lead to heroin. And we've just lost, one child lost to this is too many, but the numbers just keep going up and up. And the thing we're trying to get across is a lot of people don't really understand the dangers of the prescription that your doctor is giving you for pain, and how quickly, in some cases, that can turn to addiction. So that is going to be on Monday, April 24th, from 7 to 9 p.m. in the Overage Council Chambers over at Town Hall. By the end of the weekend, you'll probably see a flyer splashed over any Facebook page that you're a member of. So, and anybody, spread the word.
Yeah, please, that's the best advertising, word of mouth, and just tell your neighbor, and tell your neighbors, hopefully,
I did just have one more question on another subject. They don't really know what the criteria is for recognition, and if we do it for a business, but, Mr. Cedeno, Card Smart,
Yes.
could we do something?
So if we can actually put that on the agenda to do recognition.
You want to put it on for this month, or you want to wait till,
Well, because you don't need to wait till June, but we received the email of 250 units.
and it's still going. This is going until the end of the month.
So, yeah, we'll discuss it a little bit on. But if we're gonna do that, we'll put on the next week's agenda.
Oh, right, because May's teacher recognition, okay.
Next week is too quick.
No, that's what I'm saying. So, I mean, if that's what we want to do, then I'll talk to them.
Okay.
That's a great
Have to
idea.
go there tomorrow?
Okay, anything else? Anybody?
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
Okay, our meeting's canceled then for April, it'll be in May for the curriculum, correct?
Yeah, it's not a new date, it's whatever date the curriculum meeting is already scheduled for in
Right.
May.
Okay,
Those meetings are
22nd,
scheduled.
May 22nd.
so we're just not doing any.
We're not doing one in April. It was a short agenda, and we're just gonna roll it in rather than try to reschedule it.
Excellent, okay. And then my second question would be with policy, you're gonna try to set something up, you said soon, or are we waiting until?
Well, Mr. Singh is the chair, so I'm gonna reach out to him to set the meeting up as soon as he can.
It'll probably be within a month now.
Just those are the ones on,
Pretty
I
much.
just wanna make sure I get there.
By the time he clears the date and everything, I think they're gonna be able to really, we can do it at this point. Okay. Anybody else? I need a motion to go into closed session, I believe?
Yeah. We need a motion for going to executive session for matters of personnel and attorney-client privilege regarding the status of a non-certificated staff member and the charter school application legal issues with that.
Motion